Hey everyone, welcome to Man Cave Insider episode 43. I'm Dennis. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like what you see, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see past and future videos. We are here in my man cave, and this room is filled with things that I've collected my entire life, and these are the stories behind them. And today, we're going to be taking a look at the road to the upcoming film Godzilla vs. Kong. This is the fourth film in Legendary Pictures' MonsterVerse that started with the 2014 remake of Godzilla. This is also the first time that these two titans have appeared on the big screen together since King Kong vs. Godzilla was released by Toho Studios in 1962. Godzilla vs. Kong follows several other big screen confrontations, such as Freddy vs. Jason in 2001, Aliens vs. Predator in 2004, and 2016's Batman vs. Superman. While this is the first time that these two characters have appeared on screen together for the first time in almost 60 years, the origins of these films date back almost 90 years. In 1933, RKO Pictures released King Kong, and this film revolutionized the way films were made. The stop-motion technique used for Kong in this film has been used in films ever since. This film starred Fay Wray as Ann Darrow, and the ending of the film with King Kong on top of the Empire State Building fighting off airplanes is one of the most iconic images in movie history. In the early 60s, Japan's Toho Studios acquired the rights to King Kong and released the film King Kong vs. Godzilla. This was the first time that both of the characters appeared on screen in color in a widescreen format. King Kong was given top billing because they saw him as a bigger draw than Godzilla, and the film ended with Kong seemingly winning the confrontation. To date, King Kong vs. Godzilla is the most watched Godzilla film in Japan, selling over 11 million tickets. Toho Studios released a sequel 5 years later called King Kong Escapes, in which Kong fights Mecha Kong, a giant-sized robotic version of King Kong. In 1976, Dino De Laurentiis produced a modern-day remake of King Kong, starring Jeff Bridges and Jessica Lange in her first film. While the plot is very similar to the 1933 RKO King Kong, the ending of this film has King Kong on top of the World Trade Center fighting off helicopters. The film came out to mixed reviews, moderate box office, and did win an Academy Award for special effects. 10 years later, a sequel was released called King Kong Lives, in which Kong is revived with an artificial heart, and this also introduces Lady Kong, a female King Kong, and they have a son at the end of the movie. King Kong Lives received negative reviews and did very poorly at the box office. In 2005, director Peter Jackson released a remake of the original King Kong. Growing up, Jackson always stated that the original RKO classic was his favorite film. His version was set in the same time period of 1933 and featured the same characters: Jack Black as Carl Denham, Naomi Watts as Ann Darrow. The film also featured Adrien Brody and Andy Serkis, who in addition to playing a supporting character, also performed Kong via a motion capture suit, which he had also done previously in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, playing Gollum. Jackson was actually developing the film in the 90s with Universal, but the project was put on hold because they did not want to compete with TriStar's big-budget remake of Godzilla. So Jackson went and directed the Lord of the Rings trilogy to great success. The third film, The Return of the King, won 11 Academy Awards, including Best Director and Best Picture. While making the Lord of the Rings films, Jackson established many of the techniques through Weta Digital that he used while making his version of King Kong. The film would win 3 Academy Awards and gross over $500 million worldwide. To date, Godzilla has appeared in 36 films, 32 of which have been produced by Toho Studios dating back to 1954. Godzilla was such a success internationally, it was re-edited into an Americanized version called Godzilla King of the Monsters, which featured several new scenes starring Raymond Burr. There have been many different eras in the history of Godzilla. The most notable is the Showa era from 1954 to 1975. And these films were released in a 2019 Blu-ray box set that featured 15 films in 8 discs, such as the original Godzilla, Godzilla Raids Again from 1955, Son of Godzilla from 1967, and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla in 1974. In 1992, TriStar Pictures acquired the rights to make a trilogy of new Godzilla films. The film had been heavily advertised for months leading up to its release, but it had never fully shown Godzilla until the film was released in May of that year. Godzilla starred Matthew Broderick, and it grossed $376 million worldwide. Considering the budget of the film and the advertising campaign, it was considered a disappointment and the sequels were canceled. The rights to the film expired and went back to Toho Studios in 2003. In 2014, Legendary Pictures released Godzilla. This was a reimagining of the original Godzilla films that had been released from Toho Studios. Now, while the 1998 Godzilla had Godzilla going against the military in New York, this version of Godzilla went back to the source and had Godzilla fighting other monsters. Directed by Gareth Edwards, the 2014 Godzilla followed an organization called Monarch, which had been tracking MUTOs, massive unidentified terrestrial organisms. They had been tracking Godzilla and other monsters from Japan to Las Vegas, and the climax of the film had Godzilla fighting the MUTOs in San Francisco. This brought audiences back to what they had loved about Godzilla from the beginning, and it brought Godzilla into the 21st century with the updated technology. This was also the first film in Legendary Pictures' Monsterverse, which continued in 2017 with Kong Skull Island. Set in the 1973 Vietnam era, this film has Monarch accompanied by American soldiers traveling to Skull Island, where they not only encounter Kong, but several other giant creatures. Another big difference is this did not follow the same storyline that had already been done in 3 other King Kong films. Kong stayed on Skull Island the entire film, and he did not die at the end of the film. There is a scene at the end of the credits that has a cave painting of Godzilla fighting the 3-headed monster, King Ghidorah. The Monsterverse continued in 2019 with Godzilla, King of the Monsters. The MUTOs were now called Titans. This film brought back some of Godzilla's legendary adversaries, such as Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah. In my opinion, this was the Godzilla film that I have been waiting for my whole life. It took all of the imagination that went into the earlier films and brought in the technology that was not available 40, 50, 60 years ago. What's also exciting is the closing credits of Godzilla King of the Monsters alluded to activity going on in Skull Island. And that brings us to the upcoming release of Godzilla vs. Kong, which is set after the events of Godzilla King of the Monsters. What is known from the trailer is that Kong is taken off of Skull Island. And not only does Godzilla and King Kong fight, it also includes other Titans. I'm so excited at the opportunity of seeing King Kong and Godzilla fighting on the big screen in the 21st century, and I look forward to the release of Godzilla vs. Kong. It's unknown who is going to win this battle, but it is advertised that one will fall. So it is with great anticipation that I look forward to the release of Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, what I have here are some films from my King Kong and Godzilla collection, so let's go ahead and take a quick look. This is the original King Kong vs. Godzilla from 1962. This is the Americanized version, which featured a couple of scenes that were done in English to make the movie more accessible for a North American audience. It's a very basic release, no bonus features, no trailer, just the movie. Next up, I have Peter Jackson's 2005 King Kong. This is on DVD. It's the 2-disc special edition that featured the film in widescreen, and it also featured all of the post-production diaries from the wrapping of filming all the way up to the premiere. And this also came with the Dark Horse comic that has the first hour of the film from the beginning, and it ends with the first revelation of Kong. Peter Jackson always did a great job with bonus features. This is a very underrated film compared to the Lord of the Rings films. And if you really enjoy the original Kong, this is definitely something worth having in your collection. Next up, I have the 2014 release of Godzilla, directed by Gareth Edwards, on Blu-ray and DVD and digital. This has a lot of great bonus features concerning the organization of Monarch, and it was a great way to start off the MonsterVerse. It had a very classic Godzilla feel to it. They didn't change the way he looked very much from the way he'd looked in the original films produced by Toho. Next up is Kong Skull Island. This is a very different Kong film than what had been previously released, and I think it works very well. It stars Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, Samuel Jackson, John Goodman, and John C. Reilly, and the majority of the movie takes place on Skull Island, and Kong lives at the end of this movie, and it gives a tease to the next film in the MonsterVerse, which is Godzilla, King of the Monsters, which has Godzilla fighting King Ghidorah, the three-headed dragon, also has Rodan and Mothra, and has a lot of really great stuff. This is the Godzilla film that a lot of fans were waiting for a long time. So that is it for our preview of Godzilla versus Kong. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel so you can see other videos, and we look forward to seeing you next time.